Bend the knee. Valor Mogolis, everybody. This is Don Willie back again with another Game of Thrones review. This one for Season 7, Episode 3, The Queen's Justice. And spoilers. So if you have not watched the episode already, please do so, and then come back and see me afterward. So, this one was a pretty interesting one. I liked last week's a little better, but I don't think that this was a drop in quality, or at least not, for me, it wasn't really a dip in quality. Though I did have a few issues with some of the things in the episode, but let's just get this underway. So we get Jon arriving at Dragonstone with Davos. He's greeted by Tyrion and Missandei, and immediately asked to hand over his weapons. Dothraki come and carry off his boat, and Jon and Davos kind of already know, like, they're in a different world. Davos has actually been here before. Jon hasn't, so totally different experience for Jon. But because of the whole thing with the Dothraki and, just not being there with Stannis, it's now a different experience for Davos as well. So even he has to get used to things not being the way that they were. And this was kind of crazy. They had a little bit of small talk going up the stairs, which stairs looked like it would have taken them forever to actually get to the castle. Tyrion was like, hey, sometime you gotta tell me about how a recruit from the Night's Watch becomes king in the north. And he's like, hey, okay, well, as long as you tell me how a Lannister becomes hand of the queen to a Targaryen. But this isn't the first time, because remember, Tywin Lannister was hand of the king to Aerys Targaryen. But seeing the family history there, yeah, I could imagine how people would think that's not really supposed to work out. And Drogon flies overhead, gives Jon and Davos a little scare. Missandei seemed to be kind of amused by this, and Tyrion was like, hey, I'd tell you that you get used to him, but nah, not really. So they enter the throne room, where Missandei is going to read off all of Daenerys' lengthy titles, this, that, and the third, and the only reply that they can give is, yeah, this is Jon Snow, he's king in the north, which I thought was brilliant because, it kind of shows the dichotomy between the two. Here you have one who's like, hey, I'm entitled to the throne because of my name and my lineage, and the other one, like he said, I didn't even want to be king, but I took on the role because you guys told me that this is what we needed. And so Daenerys, I'll be honest with you, Daenerys to me is starting to show some of that Targaryen madness, in my opinion, because she's like, all right, bend the knee, you here, you need to bend the knee to me. I'm Daenerys, I'm the last Targaryen. Come on, do it. Get on your knees, do it. And Jon's kind of like, yeah, nah, listen, I come here for some important shit, okay? All this squabbling that you're doing, with Cersei for the Iron Throne, really is none of my business, alright? We all need to band together because there's a much bigger threat, instead of us sitting here bickering over, oh, I'm owed this and I'm owed that, and, it was a pretty interesting scene. But, like, yeah, Daenerys to me, just came off as way too entitled. And I'm just like, yo, she needs to get knocked down a peg. And I think, later on in the scene, after Varys comes in, she kind of does get knocked down a peg, because here you have Varys who's telling her, like, look, the Greyjoys and the Dornish just got wiped out, and speaking of Varys real quick, the scene with him and Melisandre, atop the castle or whatever, as they're looking down on Jon Snow, Yeah, nice little play on words there with uh, Melisandre saying, "Yeah, I brought together ice and fire." Nice little play on words. But the funny thing is, she was like, "All right, going to Volantis." Now, what she's going to be doing in Volantis, I have absolutely no idea. Um, but that will be interesting to see. And she was like, "Hey, I got to come back to Westeros," and Varys kind of actually threatens her. He's like, "Yeah, I don't think you want to do that. It's going to be kind of dangerous for you here." And it's like, all right, well, is Varys saying that he is going to have her killed? Because we already know that he does not like magic. He doesn't like the Red Priest, not too much anyway. So, I mean, but I don't know. Varys has been kind of slacking this time around. I think the fact that Qyburn now has control of little birds has made him a little weak. But it's funny because he says to her, when he asked her how come she's not there to greet Jon Snow after, you know, telling Daenerys to have him come there, she was like, "Oh, I'm done whispering in the ears of kings." He was like, "Nah, you know what? No, no, no. We're not commoners anymore, and us getting a taste of power is like a lion getting a taste of man, and you can't just go back after that." And so it's kind of like, even though Varys is saying that he's all about the people, well, what does that say when he's basically telling her now, like, yeah, I'm cool with having power and I want to keep power. Is there more to Varys than meets the eye at this particular point that we're just not knowing about? So Varys is one to keep your eye on for the rest of the season and most likely for the rest of the series, because I do believe he will survive until season 8. But yeah, I thought all of this Dragonstone stuff in the beginning was very, very interesting. And, after this, we get the transition from that to Theon being pulled out of the Narrow Sea by some Ironborn who I guess they weren't part of the battle, or I'm not sure what the deal is with them because, they asked about where Yara was, whether she was dead or not. Theon says, "No, Euron captured her." And was like, "All right, well, why are you here then?" He's like, "Look, I tried to get her," and they were like, "Yeah, right, okay. If you actually tried to save your sister, you wouldn't be here right now." Because they already know Euron is, other than the prisoners that he has taken for whatever political reasons, doesn't take prisoners. So, yeah, that was a pretty interesting little shot that we got there. But that transitioned right into Euron parading his captives throughout the streets of King's Landing. Yo, this guy, if you want to talk about mustache twirling villains, like, I don't think we've seen a guy who was this outwardly villainous to the point where it seemed like he wanted to just come out and say, like, "Yes, I am a villain." Like, yo, he's almost like the Westerosi version of the Joker, if you think about it. Because the Joker would do, the brazen kind of stuff that he's doing right now. So, the only thing about it is there is no Batman for this show. So, it's going to be, it's hard pressed at this particular moment to see who's going to be able to stop Euron. But we already know Euron must be stopped. All right. So I'm not doubting that Euron will be stopped. It's just the how at this point. So, he goes right into the throne room, walks right up to the throne with Elaria Sand and Tyene Sand, and proceeds to troll the shit out of Jaime again. Oh my god. So he starts off by saying, "I've given you the thing that no other man can give you, justice." Oh my god. Wow. And he looks right at Jaime when he says that too. And then after Cersei is like, "Yeah, I will accept your proposal and marry you after we have won this war." I mean, that kind of is foreshadowing of, yeah, I don't really want to do that. I'm not really trying to uphold my end of the bargain. And I think Euron is smart enough to see that. Euron is not an idiot. He might be a pirate, out here wearing guy liner and some weird looking clothes, but you don't get to be the best captain on the 14 seas and just, hijacking randos, and whoever else that you want by being an idiot. But what he said to Jaime when he was like, hey, you know what? When we get a chance, we got an hour or something, me and you, we should have a talk. Yeah, I need some advice. How's your sister like it? I'm like, oh my God, wow. Wow. And then you see the look on Jaime's face. He's just like, yo, I should kill you right now. He's like, nope. We got some time to talk. So, yo, man, that dude was an absolute beast. Euron is just, oh my God, he's the god of trolling right now. I don't know anyone who trolls harder than him, with the exception of a couple of people I know on Twitter. So, shout out to Euron just for being the world's biggest troll right now. And then after that, he grabs Yara by her leash, struts her out of the throne room, and that's the end that we see for him at this particular point. Then we get Cersei, who has Elaria, Sand, and Tyene locked up in the dungeon. We got Darth Mountain standing there, and Cersei is kind of recounting how not only the fact that she lost her daughter in very horrific fashion, but recounting how she's thought day and night about killing Tyene and also Elaria and how she wanted to do it. It's like, yeah, should I have the mountain crush your skull like he did to Oberyn? Should I have him crush your daughter's skull like he did to Oberyn? And then she was like, nope, I got something better for you. Kisses Tyene on the lips, and Tyene knew as soon as that happened, like, oh my God, it's over. And yeah, that was look, I can't feel sorry for her. I can't. I mean, like, first off, let's run down the list of Elaria Sand and the Sand Snake's crimes. I mean, you killed an innocent girl because you wanted revenge on something that's like, look, Oberyn stepped up in the trial by combat. That was a legal thing. He did that on his own. He lost because he was arrogant. All right, you can't talk about I want to kill every Lannister in the world for that. And then when you felt like his brother wasn't moving fast enough, you decided to stage a coup. You killed Oberyn's brother. You killed Oberyn's nephew, and decided I'm taking over Dorne for myself, me, a couple of Oberyn's daughters, my daughter, or whatever. And yeah, so I mean, like, can I really feel sorry for Elaria Sand and the Sand Snakes? No, I can't. I can't. And this is the crazy thing because Cersei is clearly the villain. Cersei's clearly a villain. But so's Elaria Sand. You cannot excuse her bullshit, and what the Sand Snakes did. So I think this is pretty much the end of Dorne. Period, point blank. We didn't hear anything about the soldiers from Dorne. We haven't heard anything about any other houses from Dorne. So I think this was their convenient way of saying, okay, we know we fucked up with the way that we did Dorne. So here's our way of giving it a clean break to where people can't say, damn, you fucked up the storyline even worse. So, rest in peace to the Dornish storyline. Period, point blank. Because I don't think we're going to see any more of that. But then after that, Cersei, gotten kind of hot and bothered, decides that, after she kissed Tyene, she wants to go give Jaime the Lord's kiss. I mean, there's a lot of, A lot of oral sex going on in the show right now, huh? Last week, we got Missandei and Grey Worm, and then after this now, we got Cersei and Jaime. And Cersei was just giving zero fucks. Next morning, she wakes up to a knock at the door. Jaime's like, hold up, we can't be seen like this. It's a bad look. So they're just like, yeah, whatever. She goes, she opens the door. Her handmaid's got the same haircut as her. It's like, hey, you got a visitor from Davos. And it is Tycho Nestoris from Iron Bank. Now, I wasn't sure what role the Iron Bank would play. I mean, I heard rumors about the Iron Bank returning. But, Tycho Nestoris is like, hey, you owe some money. You're in the middle of a war. We understand that. But look, you still owe us. All right? And we really don't want to back Daenerys Targaryen. Now, I do take issue with the reasoning behind why they said they did not want to back Daenerys. Cersei rationalizes that they had investments in the slave trade. Now, for those of you who have watched the show, if you've watched the behind the scenes, the whole history and lore thing, if you are someone who's read the books and kind of, is up on what, the whole thing with Davos, then there's no way that the Iron Bank of Davos had any investments in the slave trade whatsoever. Because Davos was founded by former slaves, and they actually hid for hundreds of years from the Valyrians and any other places that might have slave holdings. To me personally, I think this was a screw up on Dan and Dave's part, because they could have simply said, hey, you know what? The reason why they don't want to back Daenerys is because Daenerys is a Valyrian, and the Iron Bank just isn't going to back a Valyrian because we don't know that she's not going to bring back slavery or whatever. Forget about what she supposedly did in Slaver's Bay. She's a Valyrian with 3 dragons, and we don't fuck with Valyrians whatsoever. That could have been there. That could have been a simple explanation right there. But, they decided to do that. Whatever. So Cersei tells Tycho Nestoris, hey, look, stay here at King's Landing, and in a fortnight, I will get you all the money that you are owed. And the crazy thing, I'm just like, hold on. 2 weeks? You're going to be able to get this man, and I think that, they owed, 3 million gold to them in 2 weeks. I'm like, 3 million gold in 2 weeks. All right. How in the world are you supposed to get this money? Because Casterly Rock, we know that's dried up. The mines there are dried up. They got no gold. So how are they supposed to get this? And that kind of leads a little bit into the next scene, which is, back on Dragonstone. Well, not leads directly into it, but we got to transition back to Dragonstone, and we'll talk about how they expect to get their 3 million gold in a minute. So you got a little powwow with Jon and Tyrion, where they're going back and forth, and Jon is like, look, you got me here as a prisoner. I'm trying to actually protect people. Y'all on some bullshit right now. And Tyrion's like, look, I believe you, okay? I believe you, but Daenerys isn't going to believe you right now. And you got to give me something that I can work with so it doesn't look like you're, making some huge demand. So he tells him about the dragon glass. Tyrion brings that back to Daenerys. Daenerys is like, okay, all right, listen. I don't know what all this dragon glass shit is about, but all right, we got off on the wrong foot. If you say that this is the way to possibly get the North to fight on our side, fuck it. We'll give them the dragon glass. Either they win their war with the dragon glass or they lose it, but we'll give them the dragon glass. So Jon and Dany talk. They have their little back and forth about, giving ground or whatever. And Dany's like, look, all right, fine. I'll give you the damn dragon glass, all right? Go ahead, mine the dragon glass, get the hell up out of here. Pretty much. Because when Jon is like, oh, so you believe me about the White Walkers? She's like, yeah, you better hurry up and go mine your damn dragon glass. Which pretty much was shorthand for, go get the dragon glass before I change my mind and actually have you executed right now. Oh man. So next up, we transition to Winterfell, and we get a short scene here of Sansa. She bossing it up. She's like, all right, we need to make sure we have enough grain to supply whatever armies are going to be here, because you still got the army of the Vale. You got whatever Stark army they've been able to build up. You got whatever wildlings might still be there, because we don't know that all of them went to the wall. So whatever armies are currently at Winterfell and whatever other northern armies are going to come to Winterfell later, they're like, look, we need all the food to be here, because this will be the last stand if anything happens and the White Walkers get past the wall. So she ferrets out her orders, and then Littlefinger is like, hey, okay, cool, you're doing your thing. Don't forget about Cersei. She's super dangerous, and she's like, look, I already know about Cersei, all right? You don't have to remind me about Cersei. But, Littlefinger gives her sage advice. He's like, look, if you want to win this whole game right now, you got to see everything. You got to be playing three-dimensional chess. Everyone is your enemy. Everyone is your friend. Everything is a battle at all times, and I think she's finally starting to get it when it comes to, how he thinks and how he maneuvers and how he's been able to outmaneuver people. Because I think that she definitely has picked up on the whole manipulation kind of thing, but she hasn't gotten that last bit about how he's been able to outmaneuver people. And it's because, like, hey, you know what? He basically laid it out for you. I don't have any friends. I'm all about me and whatever my goal is, and however I have to go about achieving it, that is what I will do. And so you got to respect him for that. But then that gets interrupted by Bran arriving. Now, I was thinking it was going to be Arya that arrived. We saw her last episode, when she got the news about Jon being king in the north or whatever, and so she was going to go to Winterfell. So I was like, oh, wow, okay, Arya's here. And then it's like, nope, it's Bran. Like, okay, this is interesting. Bran and Mira. Not just Bran, but Bran and Mira. So I'm wondering if Mira is going to go search for her father soon enough, because we still haven't seen Howland Reed whatsoever, and we need to see Howland Reed. Very important thing. But the first time I watched the episode, I must admit, I was kind of, the way that they played Bran had me lost for a little bit, because, like, I understand he's disconnected and all that. He's not, the same guy anymore, but it had me a little like, all right, well, just because he's not, just because he's not regular Bran anymore, I wasn't really sure about the whole thing. Like, hello, Sansa. Hi. How you doing? I'm like, is dude on Valium or something? Like, what is he doing right now? But, he explains the whole thing about being the three-eyed raven, and, basically he needs to stay at the heart tree in order to be able to coalesce all of the visions that he's having. He's like, look, I can see everything that has ever happened and everything that is happening right now. And he's like, but it's all in jumble, so I can't see it all the way that it should be. So I need to stay at the tree, so this way I can pick it all up. And then once I got it all, I'll be able to disseminate that to you. And I think that this is going to lead to something very, very interesting. Not just the reveal of Jon Snow's parentage, because he did say he wants to talk to Jon. But I got a video coming later that I think, that this could lead to, and it will be a very sad day if my prediction is actually true. It was crazy because he talks about Sansa getting raped on her wedding night, and him actually seeing that, and him, feeling bad about it. But I think, the way that they played, him with the whole kind of volumed out robotic talk. I was that had me a little wasn't too sure about that one, especially if you're conveying the message like, yeah, I saw you getting raped, and I feel so bad about it. But let's go to the Citadel, where Jorah has been cured of his grayscale by Sam, and he is still scarred up. I don't know if those scars will ever heal. I mean, we see what happened with Shireen. Her face still had the the traces of where the grayscale was, but Archmaester Ebros is like, oh man, okay, so it appears that the whole upper layer skin has been removed, and the affected area has been treated with some ointments. And Jorah's up to like, yeah, I don't know anything about that. I got some rest, and I think the climate helped. He's like, yeah, okay, bro, yeah, sure. Listen, grab your shit, get the fuck out of here. So that was pretty interesting. And Sam is like, all right, I guess maybe I'll be in trouble, because Ebros is like, yo, Sam, I'm gonna need you to come see me later. When he goes in, he's like, all right, you know what? I could kick you out of the Citadel because I done told you not to do the shit that you just did. But how did you get it done? He was like, I read the instructions, and like I read the instructions in the book. It told me what to do, and I just did that. He was like, oh, okay, well, good job then. Good job. We're going to copy these scrolls. And I think that's going to, Sam is going to find something in those scrolls. They're old enough that they need to be recopied. So maybe it might have something in there about the Long Night and how they were able to defeat the White Walkers originally. Because I would imagine if it's something that obviously no one's really reading right now, but then also it's not in a book. They're just regular, they're scrolls. So you got to figure thousands of years ago when they first started the Citadel, they probably didn't have books. They just wrote down, stuff on a number of scrolls. Every few hundred years or so, maybe it's like, all right, we got to translate it to, or copy it over to newer scrolls. And some of that stuff never got put into actual books. So, with the whole thing about the history or legends of the Long Night, it was like, yeah, it was a legend of the Long Night. Maybe somebody looked at scrolls and put some of the stuff from in there before, but the actual, like, real stuff never got put in there because it was never in a book to begin with. So it'll be interesting to see what Sam actually learns from those scrolls in upcoming episodes. After this, we go back to Dragonstone. Daenerys is kind of like, look, I want to get on my damn dragons. I want to go find Euron. I want to burn all his fleet down. And the advisor's like, you maybe not want to do that, because you got to think about it. Look, one misplaced arrow and this whole war effort is done for. You're going to have 3 fucking roaming dragons that ain't going to be able to do shit because they don't have a leader or a mother to, tell them what to do. So, yeah, we kind of need you to be alive. So, no. Like, look, here's what's going to happen with the whole Castle Rock situation. It's going to be a little difficult. My father built up this 10,000 strong army. They're going to be waiting there for us. They already know that we're coming, but it's all good because I got secret passages to get in. Grey Worm and the Unsullied take over Casterly Rock, but Grey Worm notices something. He's like, this was too easy. We snuck in here, killed off these Lannister soldiers. Where are the rest? Why are there not more Lannister soldiers? And he looks and sees, oh, it's a trap. Call up Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. The whole time they were being tailed by Euron Greyjoy and his fleet. And oh boy, he comes, he burns all this shit down. And now you got Jaime, who's on his way to Highgarden. He's on the march He finally gets there. They slaughter the Tyrell soldiers, and he sits back, with Olenna Tyrell. Olenna Tyrell's waiting like, God damn it, all right, I guess it's over. I'm still kind of wondering, though, how did she get there in the first place? Because I don't remember hearing anything about her leaving to go back to Highgarden. But we're going to overlook that one because this was an awesome scene. So, Jaime explains that him and Cersei decided to abandon Casterly Rock. He pulled off a move that he learned from Robb Stark, where he's just like, look, yeah, we're going to, have a small force here. They're going to think that this is the real thing, only to find out that it was a trap. Which, bravo on Jaime. Bravo, you learned something. You did your thing there, guy. So, with this whole thing now, you have the Lannister army who has taken over Highgarden and packed up all of their gold. Because if you remember, at least for the show, the Tyrells were actually the second richest house in all of Westeros. So now we know how Cersei is supposed to get this 3 million gold or however much that was owed to the Iron Bank to the Iron Bank. Basically killed the Tyrells and took all their money. So it is what it is for that one. But we got to get back to Jaime and Olenna. So Olenna pretty much knows it's a wrap for her. Cersei wants her dead. And it's like, all right, you're here to kill me. How's this going to happen? How am I going to wind up biting a bullet on this one? And so Jaime talks about some of the various ways that Cersei wanted her to die. Which I'm like, I don't understand why Cersei hated Olenna so much. Because she really didn't have a reason to hate her before. It's like, yes, you're a political rival. Yeah, okay, I didn't want my son to be, taken over by you guys and be influence him too much. But, like, for her wanting to kill Olenna, I'm like, it's a little steep right there, but it is what it is. But Jaime's like, look, I talked her off of that ledge. We're not going to do anything brutal to you. Here, put your poison in your wine, drink that, and, sorry to see you go like this, but, it is what it is. It's business. And, oh boy, after she drinks that wine and knows it's about to be over, here she comes with the nuke. She had a hand, like a finger on that red button. She pressed that button and dropped that bomb. It was like, hey, oh yeah, just let Cersei know. It was like, hey, you know what? I never liked your son. Your son was a cunt. So was his mom. You may not be too bad. But, yeah, look, I poisoned your son. I didn't know he was going to die so horribly, but I'm glad he did. And, oh, man. Like, I don't even know what to say about that one. Because the look on Jaime's face was just like, what? Like, yo. Like, the fuck? What? I actually expected him to take out his sword and chop her down right then and there, but it's just kind of like, fuck it. Okay, you got this. You got it. So, yeah, man. This was a great episode. Again, I liked last week's just a tad bit better. Just a little better. I gave the first episode a 7. I gave last week an 8. I'm going to split the difference on this one and give it a 7.5. Absolutely great episode. Can't wait for next week. Yeah, I think they really did their thing. They're coming up strong right now with the way that they're doing the episodes. I'm glad that even though they are moving, it doesn't feel rushed. Because I was afraid of it feeling rushed with them saying, hey, 7 and 8, those 2 seasons are only going to be 13 episodes. So I thought it was going to feel rushed. So far, to me, it doesn't feel rushed. I'd like to know what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, I got more videos coming this week. Sorry for the delay for some of them. It's been, listen, life happens. YouTube ain't promoting my videos, so ain't none of this shit paying my bills. Well, you guys are getting the most you can get out of me right now for free. All right, but that doesn't mean that I'm not working. I'm out here working. I got some other stuff that I'm planning for you guys. Like I said, I got something about Bran for later that I think you guys will like. Anyway, you already know the deal. Rate, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your friends to come back for more. That has been my time, and this is Don Willie saying, Vala Dohiris.